Yep, you all set? Oh, there we go. Ah, let me know when you guys are ready. You all set? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Y'all awake? What's up? Well, thanks for joining me this morning here in the RF Lounge. Today we're going to be talking about reception lighting techniques. I'm going to make the assumption that everybody sitting here shoots weddings, right? Right? Okay, cool. So, as an educator and photographer, working with a lot of second shooters and stuff like that, seems like reception lighting is like a major pain point for people. Anybody else experience that pain point? Right? What's some of your struggles with reception lighting? Dark spots? I can't hear you. No, is this a little bit too dark? How about you? Having the shadows? Shadows aren't necessarily a bad thing all the time. Having the space, like I, the space being too small, okay, yeah, I can see, or too big, yeah, I can see that. Well, hopefully some of the stuff that you learn here today, you'll be able to take home, use them as actionable steps to be able to help you in your business, right? So, a little bit about me. Obviously, my name is Andre Brown. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer based out of Atlanta. Um, I started my photography journey back in 2015, and it's been fun so far. I'm Team Canon. Any Canon shooters in here? You guys are all cool. Everybody else, y'all need to get it together. But I'm the ambassador for a number of brands, which you can see here. I do host my own line of workshops, and I am I guess, multi-time WPPI award winner. So, anybody coming to the award show tonight? Just one? There's free food and free drinks that'll be there tonight. Everybody's coming? There we go. People move for booze, huh? You got it. So, again, here's a slide here if you guys want to take a picture of this or use the QR code with details about my wedding workshop where we will be going in depth about reception lighting and just shooting weddings in general, okay? So for weddings in general, but specifically for reception, here's the gear that I use. So I'm currently using the Westcott FJ setup. So I use if I'm lighting the reception specifically for details, I'm using 4 of the FJ 200s. I have my FJ80 that's on camera. That's my triggering all of the lights, right? And I usually float around with this little Stella light too. It is not a strobe, right? But the CLX10 comes in clutch for when I kind of need to move freely, move quickly, and I don't have time to, dial in the light. So maybe it's time for cake cutting or something like that. I can take that light, turn it on inside of my mag box, boom, and I don't have to worry about my flash or anything like that not reaching the part of the room that I'm in. So I buy a lot of gear based on convenience. I'm not telling y'all to do what I do, because then y'all be spending a bunch of money, right? But I like things to be clear and concise, and I want to be able to move freely without having to worry about all of the challenges that may come about. So this is my current lighting setup. I do have the grid on here. This is the Westcott grid, but I am a MagBot ambassador, so I use the mag grip with the mag grids whenever it is I'm working, right? So let's talk about camera settings. Like most of the time people say, oh, well, what are your camera settings for when you go into a room to light a reception? And that's gonna vary depending on the room that you go into, right? So a room like this, obviously, it's very large, but think of it as a reception venue right now. How many of you shoot weddings that have uplights? Right? So if you want to be able to see those uplights, then you have to expose properly for those uplights. But if you're in a situation like this where there's no ambient light that's going to add any visual interest, then your settings will definitely change from situation to situation, right? So with that, Obviously, the ISO is what's going to control you being able to see those ambient lights, right? So off the top of my head, if I go into a reception, there's a bunch of ambient light going around. The first thing that I would probably do, because I'm so used to shooting in those situations, I'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of like six. Jesus Christ, man. I'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of like, what is that? I'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1600 on the my. Check, 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 check. All right, cool. Yo, you hear me? Can you hear me? He's gonna turn me up. Yo, yo, there we go. I'm mad. I felt like Janet Jackson just now with the whole ear thing, and now I don't have that no more. Like I'm not cool now. Now I'm like a rapper. Yo, 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 like that. But I forgot where I was. So if I'm going into a room that's heavy in reception lighting, in uplighting, I know that I'm gonna be somewhere starting around about 1600 ISO to maybe in the 3200 ISO range to be able to pull up the candles, to be able to pull up the ambient light that's on the backdrop from the uplighting. So that's a general place to start, but it just all really depends from situation to situation. Room size is gonna, make a difference. You two ladies earlier were talking about a room that's too small. You were talking about a room that's too big, right? So the amount of power that's gonna come out of your flash in a small room, that little room, that light is gonna bounce around there so much. So you want to be able to reduce the power down as much as you possibly can, so that you don't have all of the lights bouncing around, and you can control it a little bit more. That's where grids come in, big time too. Oh, and I mentioned grids on there. They should have had a confidence monitor so I could see. But let's talk about lighting patterns, right? So, for the most part, many of these are not technical terms, right? One of them I think I made up, but so lighting patterns. First, we have four corners. That's basically where there's a light in every single corner. I think when you first start in wedding photography and people are like kind of teaching you what it is that you need to do, they always say, get a light, put it in each corner, turn it to the dance floor, turn them on. Yeah, that's cool, right? But as you start to shoot weddings that are nicer, that have more detail, that have those uplights and stuff, those lights are going to completely dominate everything that's going on inside of the room, right? So we also have cross light, which is what I shoot most of the time, primarily because my photography style in general is directional light. So that cross light will give me the opportunity to, no matter where I turn in the room, I'll have like a key light or like a highlight kind of light and a kicker, no matter which way I turn in the room, right? Zigzag lighting, I made that up, but I'll show y'all a diagram of what that looks like a little bit later on, right? And then obviously front lighting, which can happen from a top flash, or you can have two strobes that are in the front of the room pointing toward the dance floor versus having like that kicker light. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So four corner lighting, this is what that lighting setup would look like, right? So again, you take one of your lights, put it in each one of the corners of the room, point it directly to the dance floor, and it lights everything up like Christmas, right? You're not really gonna get a lot in terms of like ambient light in that, and I have an example of that here in this image, right? So we still get a lot of shadow just in this one, primarily because those pillars are kind of blocking stuff from the light spilling around the room. But this is, an example of what that would look like. This is also another example of what that would look like, right? And this is just the flash themselves, bare bulb, no type of modifier, right? But if we take a step further and we go to the four corners, but we add grids, Now we can control the light so much more and add so much more drama, right? So you see the uplights and stuff that you have in the back. The lighting appears to be pin spot on all of the reception details. Most of your more higher end, more luxury style weddings, when you walk in, that's what the ambiance looks like, right? So why would I then light it to make it look like that if this is what it looked like on the actual day of, right? So you want to be able to keep that aesthetic, and the way you do that is by controlling the light with grids, okay? So cross light, pretty self-explanatory. One light in kind of catty corner to one another. Doesn't matter which way you set it up. It's all preference. I could go into a reception space, and if that's where I'm standing, I'll put my light right there. There's no rhyme or reason, because as the reception goes on, people are going to move around. Circumstances will change. So whether you set it up on this side and this side versus this side and this side is completely up to you, right? This is an example of what the cross light looks like in a decor type situation. So as you can see here, you have the highlight shadow, shadow highlight. And it gives it so much more dimension, and it's so much more dynamic and dramatic in the photos, right? And it helps to keep that more luxury appeal to whatever it is that you're shooting in terms of the reception, right? So this is the same situation, but in this there's also ambient light, because I'm gonna have this spillage. Can you guys see my pointer? Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of going away, but you can see the natural light coming in from the windows, and I'm using that ambient light in order to fill in shadows where there would probably be shadows, and the fact that I was being lazy and I didn't want to set up 4 lights. I didn't need to in that particular set of circumstances. So cross light, this is what it will look like with decor, but this is what it looks like on a dance floor. She's dancing with her dad, and there's so much more depth and drama in this image than taking a bunch of light, throwing it at the wall, and just blowing it all out, right? Same thing here. It's actually the same wedding. More examples. There's a little bit of light spillage in this particular image because the videographer and the entertainment company had lights in there too. But the goal is that you have to go in and deal with whatever your circumstances are. Balance the light to the degree that you need to in order to be able to get the result it is that you want in the end, okay? Again, similar situation where clearly you see all that light coming in from outside, right? So I use it to my advantage instead of, letting it be an obstacle for me. So in this situation, all the way to the right-hand side in the corner, there is a light illuminating the front part of this table. Since exposing for this is going to darken down what we have going on here, then I have a light coming in from the other side highlighting that other table in the back so that I can get my room shot in this really difficult, venue situation with the way that it's configured. More examples of cross light. Another example of cross light, right? Now, zigzag light. Remember, I made that up, right? So the idea behind the zigzag light is to, no matter what, continue to have highlights and shadows all through the room, right? So I'm exposing on this side, but then I have darkness on this side. And I just carry that pattern all the way out throughout the room so that, again, I can keep that drama no matter what part of the room that I'm actually in, right? Hey, man, can we... What's up, bro? Matthew's back here distracted me. But this is what that lighting pattern would look like, right? So it's literally a complete, just a diagonal zigzag pattern across the entire room. So again, no matter where I am, I have those highlights, I have those shadows, and it enables me to be able to create drama in all of the photos throughout the entire reception. This is an example of what Zigzag Light looks like. You know, they put a lot of thought and money into this reception space, and it has a particular feel and ambiance that I don't want to go in with a bunch of lights and just kind of blow it out. I just want that light to kind of kiss different parts of the room all the way around. So as you can see, it actually starts out with the light on this side coming across and skimming the front part of that table. And then there's a light back there that's casting across the room because, again, I want to give it that look as if I'm pin lighting all of the tables, but they didn't have the budget to pin light. Apparently, they spent it on flowers. So, same thing here, zigzag lighting situation, highlights and shadows. That's what adds so much more depth and drama in the images, and it just makes it look more interesting all the way around, right? So this is going to be this same room, but in a front light situation, right? So if you see this room here, right? This is the exact same room, but just front lit. I wanted to be able to darken down everything that's in the back to keep that mood and that drama. However, I needed to be able to light these centerpieces in the front to make them stand out and then show what the room is supposed to look like. So that is literally just one light on each side, hitting the things that I needed to hit. So those two centerpieces there in the front, and then the rest of it is just the ambient light that's inside of the space, right? So lighting for the actual dance. The principles are exactly the same, right? If you want to do all four corners, you can do that. If you want to do cross light, you can do that, which is typically what I do. So this is what the cross light situation would look like, right? The only difference from before is that I move my lights further in because now I don't need to light all of the stuff that's in the back of the space. So you remember this shot from earlier when I had the four corner lights set up. All of that stuff in the back was brightened up, it was exposed, it had light on it, right? But once I moved that light up, can you see it? See the light right there? And then there's another one sitting next to me. Now it just adds so much more depth and drama into the image, which is what my photography style is. I know that's not everybody's style, but that's my photography style, so I try to keep that consistent all the way across the board. More here with their reactions from their entrance when they first came in. More from the dance. I guess he loved her so much he wanted to propose twice. And if we remember that four corner lighting setup in that same space, this is what it looked like. So with all four lights, this is where we were. But just with those two cross lights, this is what you can come up with to be able to, again, add so much depth and drama into your shots, right? So I know we don't have much time, so I kind of wanted to like burn through the slides so we can get straight to the Q&A. So let's do that. Anybody got questions? Go ahead. The question is, am I shooting on TTL? Absolutely not. Oh. Yeah. Absolutely not. It's a function. I know people love it. People can, people swear by it. I want to be able to control every aspect of what it is that I'm doing. And I can't do that if TTL is constantly guessing, right? So if I'm shooting a photo of the two of them, right, and they both have dark color, clothing on, I snap that photo of them, and then my bride comes in a white dress, it's going to change that evaluation that TTL is making this decision on, and I don't want it to do that. I want to be able to have full control. So no, I don't shoot TTL. Uh-huh. The question is, am I making adjustments on the fly as I move around the dance floor? And the answer to that is yes, right? Like when you one thing that I learned early on, you just have this assumption like, oh, I'll put up lights in all four corners and then I just go shoot, right? And that doesn't work. You have to make adjustments no matter what you're doing, right? You have to make adjustments all throughout the day. So even with that cross light setup, I will have all four of my lights still set up. I'll just turn them off. I'll just turn the other two off. If for some reason I need to switch the direction of the light, so let's say for instance, a first dance, right? Sometimes you get those couples that they do what they're supposed to do and they move all the way around, but you have that couple that's stuck in a position, and maybe the position that they're stuck in block is giving like a nasty shadow or something like that on the bride or on the groom. Well, I switched the lights that I'm using to be able to fill in what I need to fill in. So you have to be ready to make those decisions on the fly and make adjustments, which again, why I use so many lights, because it's a convenience thing more than anything else. Any other questions? Damn, that's it? Oh.
So when you're lighting a space and you've got the four corners, are you moving those lights in for the dances, or do you just have two set up at the dance floor as well? So that you have like six.
So the question is, am I moving the four corners setup or am I having two additional lights? And yes, I'm moving those lights, right? Because for the most part, I'm only using those four lights to fill in the entire room while I'm doing reception decor photos. After that, I don't need them anymore, because those are the tables where people will be eating and stuff like that later on, and we all know we don't want to take pictures of people eating food. So at that point, I move those lights in or discard them, just all depending on the size of the room or something like that, and then I'm good to go to shoot from there. The question was, do I have assistants that help me move the lights? Sometimes. So typically, I let my second shooter and my assistant go after the first dance, right? But my assistant has the best job in the world because I typically do everything myself. My thing is, the only reason I use an assistant is to do something that I cannot do in that moment. So if I'm in the middle of the dance and let's say my light is not turned the way that I want it to, right? I can't then stop shooting, go turn the light or something like that. I get my assistant, hey, go turn that light for me, give him the thumbs up if it's where I want it to be, and that's it. But for the most part, it's faster for me to go do things myself than to communicate that to somebody else, So I run around, I'm like Sonic the Hedgehog when I'm in this space running around getting from point A to point B. More questions? What was the last part? So the question was, how long does it take me to set up? That's the first question. And it varies, right? So, we all know weddings, especially like cultural weddings, most of the time they have these elaborate decor setups, and then like you have 5 minutes to shoot. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? So you kind of have to plan ahead. So the first thing I typically do, if I have a wedding where the reception and the ceremony at the same space, I get there early, I look at the lay of the land for the room, and I set up my lights how I think I'm gonna use them later on. And then I just make adjustments and stuff like that from there. And the second part of the question was, how long do I usually take to shoot decor? It varies. Certain planners, like, they love my decor shots. I'm big on decor because I just love decor in general, right? So as much time as they'll give me, I'll take. But sometimes it's like 5 minutes, and then other times planners will plan ahead and give me like 30 minutes, Like, how much time do you need? I need 30 minutes, and then they'll give me that time. Anybody else? That's it? All right, cool. Well, let's see. Here's the one more slide one more time, just in case you guys want. This is information for my wedding workshop, where, again, we'll be going over all things wedding, including reception lighting. So scan this code, screenshot this, and take care of it later on. And other than that, then just follow me on social media. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the show. Thanks.